So welcome to today's update video, and here you can see obviously kind of a little bit of a slightly unusual weather pattern in the western United States. You can kind of see a little bit of a trough coming down, bringing some slightly cool temperatures and bringing some of that June gloom effect like Southern California. And bringing some slightly cooler temperatures across the Pacific Northwest and even extending down to parts of Utah, Nevada, Colorado. Anyhow, back to the Eastern Pacific, where we've been watching this future low pressure that's now a tropical wave in the Gulf of Tonga. You cannot really see, it's not particularly well organized. None of the global models really span a low pressure system out of this in the next couple days. I expect this to kind of continue this way for the next 36 to 48 hours. After 48 hours, there's a bit of a mild divergence. You can see the GFS continues to insist on nothing. And showing zilch, and you can just see basically just showing an active monsoon trough and nothing else. And then however, I'd like to point out one thing. There is, despite this, the GFS still hints at a window for opportunity of low wind shear, with an anticyclonic aloft, right off the Mexican coast here. That would provide a window of opportunity if a low pressure system actually developed and got into this region. It could develop into a tropical storm or possibly a minimal hurricane. This is what's supported by the European run earlier this morning. However, the GFS for whatever reason does not show any of this actually happening. It's a little bit puzzling. And you can see here's what the European run from earlier this morning actually happened, the 0Z run. A low pressure system out of nowhere popping up around hour 72 and organizing pretty quickly, and then coming a very robust hurricane passing, very robust Category 1 hurricane passing near the Soccoro Island, and eventually, as this ridge to the north rebuilds itself, bringing some record-breaking heat to the southwest. This also steers future Agatha west, as it's slowly weakening as it moves into the higher latitudes of the Pacific. However, the most recent European run is nowhere near as bullish. You can kind of see it keeps the system relatively weak. Keeps the system weak, and eventually closes off a low pressure system by day 3. And it has a much smaller system and a little bit weaker system by day 4 and day 5, although taking a similar pathway, even though it brings this new GFS European run brings the system a little bit closer to it. This may be a sign this is all caving towards the JFS a bit, so we will be seeing the next 0Z run, even though I say this a lot, will be very important to see what happens. It's a bit puzzling at the GFS, even though it's not had this system at all. I mean, we've seen this happen before, but generally, at a certain point, the GFS wakes up and starts showing a pretty robust system, and it has not done so yet. And when it happens, when it happens, I think generally it should happen if a closed low does not develop. If a low pressure system actually develops, at least a broad low, and the GFS is still showing nothing, I'm going to think the development chances have definitely decreased, if not decreasing. But even the UK Met is less aggressive on its 0Z run. I don't think I had 12Z runs come out yet. But it's a little bit less aggressive and much further west, and it typically is further west than the other global models. But it's a little bit weaker, kind of showing the tropical depression or storm. It doesn't really have as much of a Soccoro Island threat as the GFS and European, as the European model does. The 12Z EPS probabilities have not come out in yet, so those will also be interesting to see. But in general, I do have to admit that at a certain point, these gold models are going to have to start caving. So I think the next few runs, as I said, are going to be very important to see if the European caves to the GFS, or the GFS is going to keep to the European. I think there's some signs that might be the former, but it's too early to tell for sure. But I mean, regardless, interest in Soccoro Island, regardless, missions do look decently conducive for development, even though, as I mentioned in my previous video, there may be some easterly shootout to prevent development. Also, one more thing I'd like to point out very briefly is that the Canadian model, which is historically relatively aggressive at repeatedly pushing forward weak tropical presidents, one does not really show anything happening out of the system, and barely even shows doesn't really even show an organized little pressure system developing until around day 5, and even then never closes it off. Anyhow, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is going to be something I'm going to have to watch pretty closely over the next few days. I mean, to see if we actually can get Agatha or not. I think the chance of developing have decreased a little bit from last night. I think the agency is currently giving the system a 20% chance of development in 2 days and a 50% chance of development in 5 days, which I think is fair for the time being. But we'll see what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye.